Hey everyone, it is good to be yapping these gums again. I hope everyone is well. Let's talk about Big Bear, talk about Richtech. Been getting a lot of comments like, why aren't you talking about Richtech? Sorry, I just been kind of obsessed with other things here the past week. But let's break these down, talk about them. Before we talk about that, it's for these two stocks to get back up and kicking here for low cap stocks in general, which are taking a beating, no doubt about it. Everything's taking a beating right now. The market is very much in this tug of war right now. What do we got here? We got, I don't know, mathematically, we got like 45, 50 trading days left, maybe somewhere like that. So in that, there's a lot of stuff packed in there. The government just opened back up. And then two, something happened that the market didn't like. The administration in charge here said, hey, we're not actually going to release the job reports back from October, all that, and some other data. We're just not going to do it. We don't think it matters, blah, blah, blah. And the feds look at that and go like, well, that's not good for us because we want to know what we need to do in December here. Are we going to do a rate cut? So it's very much a back and forth situation like that. And it's now we're hearing more talks like, even Trump said this, the government could just shut down again here in January if both these parties don't come together and figure out a solution for the all-around purpose of why it happened in the first place for the government shutting down. So with that, the market is very unstable. And still, too, there's a lot of this tariff talk, what's going to happen here. This week in the market, one of the biggest things that is happening, obviously, is NVIDIA will be releasing quarterlies on Wednesday. So that will, it's very weird because the last two quarterlies with NVIDIA, the market hasn't really cared that NVIDIA just did another great quarterly. The market somewhat expects it at this point, if that makes any sense. NVIDIA has literally become like the Tyson of the 80s, where it just cannot lose. I think there's more people betting against it right now than are betting for it in a weird way, because obviously, yes, it's bought over, it's completely bought over. It's a very expensive stock for what it's doing. But two, there's this huge conversation that, like we're hearing, like we keep seeing with every quarterly with NVIDIA, they can't make enough chips. They can't make them fast enough. I mean, it's just literally, that is the problem that they're having with it. So more than likely, we're going to see another beat down, banging quarterly from NVIDIA, and we'll see how the market reacts to it. But I definitely feel like more than anything right now, the market is looking at what is going to happen here at the beginning of December. And Tom Lee is still talking about a push in the S&P 500 here at the end of the month. I don't know if this is a smart thing to do for me as a YouTuber, but I believe in listening to different people. I believe in working together as investors. And I want to encourage you. Tom Lee and Tom Nash did an interview together. Tom Nash interviewed Tom Lee, and that's so cool, man. And two guys that are very much very focused in the market, have great thoughts, what they have to say, everything. And Tom Lee just gave a lot of great examples from history of the stock market, the economy, what has happened, more than likely what we're going into. And if you know Tom Lee, he has called this market year. The guy has completely been right. And why I love that too is because, Tom Lee's in Wall Street. He's in it. He's in Wall Street. He's in with these companies. He hears whispers that he can give us breadcrumbs on. So it's very much when you have someone like that, listen to them. Listen to what they're saying. Tom Lee has been bearish in the past. I think that's where people get kind of upset, where they're like, he's just always bullish. He's just like, buy, buy, buy. When he's telling you to do that, maybe you should listen. You'll do well. So, anyway, check that interview out. It's really good, and it's good just for all around knowledge, to help you as an investor. I killed it. I listened to it. I loved it. Let's talk about Richtech first, and then we will get right into Big Bear here. So Richtech here, sweet baby Richtech, has been getting beat up on the playground here the past weeks now with the stock market, and that's kind of what we've seen here with Richtech. The past 2 months been getting a lot of attention. Richtech went into this conference, this big thing that NVIDIA did in they did in DC. And with that, not a lot of big news came out with Richtech. A lot of stuff was just kind of what they had. They talked about, robots that they're pushing and they're still working on, and they're trying to continue to do what they're doing, and they're doing a lot here. But with that, I still am very much in on the broad conversation of robotics pushing into the market. I definitely think Richtech will separate itself from a lot of other robotic stocks. I do think there's going to show up the broad view here, what I'm talking about, how this could all blow up, and Richtech could be a part of it. We know that Optimus will be, at people's fingertips next year, okay? Tesla's robot, Optimus. So when Optimus shows up here, this could start somewhat of a new beeline for investors, where they're looking at robotic stocks. There's a lot of robotic stocks right now, and they're all different robots. I mean, from vacuums to Richtech to humanoid robots. There's a lot of different things going on here. The one thing that I think captures a lot of people's attention right now with Richtech is you really got to get out of your comfort zone and really think about what this may look like. And right now, I completely understand that Richtech is a hard sell for investors to hold on to. I get it 100%. When I look at Richtech, I go, okay, these are service robots for cleaning, working in restaurants. What does that look like? I remember just handful of years ago at this point, when, a lot of these restaurants, these fast food restaurants that we know, McDonald's for a great example here, was talking about, well, they're going to start having these monitors where you can just walk in and order your food yourself. And guess what? They do. A lot of places have this now. So, and that's essentially AI, a screen, software they have to do that. Now, really think about what is the next stage of this? Well, obviously, this isn't even something that, that probably will take place for who knows how long. I mean, it could be a year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? But really thinking about this, as long as Richtech can keep sailing along here, finding deals to keep them afloat, keep pushing with their technology, who knows where this could go. But think about, let's keep using McDonald's for example here. Let's say a handful of years into the future from now, who are we to say that maybe 75 to 65% of a fast food restaurant is ran by something like Richtech? There are robots here, where there's a robot at the counter, where there's a robot in the kitchen, and they're just doing the same thing over and over. Whatever that is, putting fries down, take the fries out, put them in a thing, drinks, whatever that looks like. This is what Richtech is looking at right now. That this is a real situation, and this is something that we've seen, really kind of already happen in this futuristic world of movies and stuff. We've seen this kind of stuff. Okay, this is nothing new to the imagination, but a lot of things that have been in movies or in the imagination have come to the stock market 100%. I mean, look at Tesla, for God's sakes, and a lot of just general AI companies that are going, having a moment right now. So that's the big picture with Richtech here. And Richtech just put their robot in the Las Vegas arena there, and they have their robot serving people drinks. There's pictures of it. You can go look at it. It's pretty cool. What I'm trying to say is, this is a situation that is very, it's going to take time to unfold here, 100%. Richtech doesn't have earnings until January, and more than likely those earnings will be great. They're not going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing, this is the next big thing. But they will be enough to propel the company to keep the stock maybe tickering up here, depending where the stock is at that point. Maybe it's at $5, maybe it's at $8, maybe it's holding around $3 to $4. Who knows at this point? I think Richtech could obviously do some pinball work here, just back and forth to some big to low numbers. So talking more of this, man, this stuff excites me because I love buying into futuristic stocks. I really do. I think Richtech will be different and have a place with robots in a sense in the robotic stock market. There are other places where you can go to look for robotic stocks. They are out there 100%. But the two that I am so obsessed with right now is obviously Tesla and it's Richtech here. I am very curious to see how hard Richtech can push into this service industry robot. This is something also that Jensen talks about quite a bit, the CEO of NVIDIA. He has talked about this numerous times now this year, and it really makes me think that there's something going on behind the scenes that really we don't even completely understand here. Every time you hear one of these tech guys talk, whether it be Jensen, be Elon, Sam Altman, someone, they're talking about robots. They're talking about a robotic future. Now, that's a very broad statement, obviously, but I definitely think there is, a short time away here where a robotic future does look like Optimus. It looks like Richtech here, Adam, Richtech's robot here. So, yeah, I get it, friends. When is Richtech going to move back up in stock price? That really depends on the market, what we're going to see here. I think Richtech, like I said, it will be a ding, 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 ding. It will do a lot of camel humps here. But with that, talking about the long-term growth of this company, obviously we need to get to quarterlies, and that's in January. But I'm really believing, I'm drinking the juice here, that I think there will be a robotic movement in the stock market where people will go crazy over robotic stocks. It is one of the next big things coming up here, 100%. And Richtech could do really well off of that. So BigBear, right now there is $2.32 trillion in the budget, the DoD budget here for defense spending. So obviously, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but when BigBear released that quarterly here, in the memo of the quarterly, Kevin came out talking about the big beautiful bill. Kevin, the CEO of BigBear, talked about how BigBear stands to work with the United States defense on the government border, the border in general, from America to Mexico here. That was talked about earlier in the year here when a lot of that was big in the news. He still talked about that. Kevin still talked about border security. So, when we say, he just said border security in the memo essentially, so that's kind of a broader statement. Who knows? That could just mean internationally, all that. But BigBear was talked about back in the beginning of the year with the Mexican border there, right there. So I'm trying to make that plain as can be there, but this could, and I do believe it's on a broader scale too when we talk about BigBear working more with the United States government in defense. Two, with that, BigBear has these airline deals that keep getting to be more and more and more. So I really do believe right now that we're seeing the very beginning makings of something very special. This is really the building of a wonderful thing here. I really do believe that. I can't tell you, at the beginning of the year, I was very nervous about BigBear. I was like, man, I really hope they can pull this year off. Now, financially, it's been a rocky year. But what we've seen here is the build out from a company that was something and now is a lot better here. You can look through history with a lot of companies that have been around for a long time, but just they were ran by bad leadership. They just couldn't get things going here. There's a lot of companies like that throughout history. But then somewhere, somebody comes out of the shadows here and redirects the whole company. Now, is this that moment for BigBear? Is this the redirection? Is this from the ground up here where we are seeing the company be completely cleaned out and restructured and formatted into what they're doing here, pushing more into this defense security place where they're at? Obviously, right now, this is the moment, this is the time that BigBear has been looking for in history right now, because right now, obviously, AI, security defense here is the hot topic. I do believe that Kevin knows more. I believe Kevin knows more. Now, obviously, he cannot say a lot of that because, the bylaws of how the market works, FCC, all this investor relationship to, CEOs letting things out here. He cannot just come out and say, like, actually, we have a deal that we've been talking about with the United States government about, border security. He can't do that. What do you think would happen to BigBear at the start of Monday morning? It would be a $50 stop because it would be bought up so much. But in that too, with those hints and slivers of, what could be here truth-wise with what Kevin's talking about, it's very much a place where there's a lot of light on that. That is a very good place to be. That is really the first time he's come out and said something that bluntly about, what BigBear is looking at right now. And two, it's a clue on top of a clue that makes the perfect sandwich because, BigBear just spent $250 million on this software, this company here, Sage, and they're obviously preparing for something. They need that. They want it for bigger and better and set themselves apart from their other companies that are going after similar deals. BigBear is doing the right stuff here. This, like I said, is going so much better than where I was at the beginning of the year with BigBear. If BigBear had just stayed in this realm of, we just came short again of making this quarterly, it wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was just blah. I have no doubt that BigBear would have really fallen here, but what we're seeing right now, we're seeing survival with BigBear around this $6 range here. And this is really interesting because, the last quarterly that we had with BigBear, the Q2, that was pretty terrible, completely demolished the stock, right then and there. And two, the stock market was actually doing pretty well at that moment. It was doing nothing like it's doing now. What I'm trying to say is that even if there's no more pushing in BigBear the rest of the year, even if this BigBear just kind of falls flat the rest of the year, okay, I would feel very good about what we're getting ourselves into here with 2026. I really would. I think this is a fantastic start to something bigger and better here. There's no doubt that I do believe that this coming year here we're going to see an immense amount of defense spending. The money's there, but obviously certain stuff has been going on with the government right now, and I do believe that we are going to see more defense spending, and it's not going to take much at this point. I mean, could you imagine if BigBear just got one big juicy deal at this point? Something just even one of Palantir's little deals, if BigBear just got a $200-300 million deal, cut up over 2-3 years, but still, that'd be amazing. So I really think this is a moment to be happy, friends. Think about what this could turn into. You got to start somewhere with stocks, and BigBear is definitely moving in a right direction. And I get this is not going to be for everyone. This is going to take time, 100%. I think a lot of people are wondering, like, do you think BigBear can sell down more? Do you think it's going to go down to like $2-3? I don't know at this point, and I would be very shocked if BigBear, let alone went to $3, a high 4, possibly, maybe. The market really have to take some more damage here. But the fact that BigBear is telling us openly, like, hey, we're looking at some stuff. Hey, we just spent a ton of money to be bigger and better of a company here. Okay? I think those are big key points that people are looking at right now, from the average investor to maybe even some bigger money out there. So, be happy, friends, about BigBear. And just like Richtech, I think this is definitely going to take time. This is going to take, moments for this to turn into something. But I am very much in this place of, regardless, next year in the market, I do think bank stocks are going to do really well next year. But what I do think is that software, AI, even if there is an AI collapse, whatever that means, whatever it looks like, AI companies, especially attached to defense, security, stuff like that, are going to continue to do well, okay? And BigBear's already working with the United States government. Let that sink in. There's that with BigBear. 2, Richtech Robotics, somewhere at some point, Richtech alone as long as they keep chugging along here, doing what they're doing, I do expect good things with that company. I really do. It's almost like it's just a company that I want to keep up with. I want to see where this goes. This could be such the baby steps foundation of where this company can go, and with their software, with their robots. But I'm telling you, man, just think back on it. Think about when people are like, you can't put screens in restaurants for people to order on. Well, what if about a year or two from now, maybe sooner than that, maybe 6 months, who knows what happens here? Some restaurant chain somewhere, something says, hey, we're gonna put robots in there. Just do simple things that, a robot can just stand there and, make a sandwich, whatever that looks like. That world is coming to us. There's no doubt about it. An automated world is coming here. And there's companies that are pushing into that. Richtech being one of the massive ones. Friends, take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.